The red sun hung low in the sky, painting the desert planet in the color of blood. The air was dry, and the wind carried the smell of smoke and burning wood. In the center of the city square, a crowd had gathered. Thousands of alien faces, glowing with anger, fear, and excitement. A young alien girl stood at the edge of a large pit filled with crackling fire. Her arms were tied with thick chains. Her face was bruised, her dark purple hair messy, and her golden eyes full of fear. 2 armored guards stood on either side of her, pulling her forward, step by step. The crowd chanted loudly, "Traitor! Burn her! Justice for the crown!" Above them, on a stone balcony, a tall alien with a golden robe watched the scene with a smile. He was Lord Zarek, the ruler of this planet and the girl's uncle. He had accused her of trying to poison him, of planning to take his throne. The truth didn't matter. The people believed what they were told. "Any last words?" One of the guards growled. The girl said nothing. She knew no one would listen. The fire roared louder. The chains were pulled again. She was seconds away from falling in. Then, a voice cut through the noise. "Let her go." The crowd fell silent. From between the shocked faces, a figure walked out slowly. He wasn't tall. He didn't wear armor. He had no weapons, no crown, no guards, just old boots, a worn-out jacket, and a quiet confidence. He was human, the first human this planet had seen in years. "Who are you?" a guard shouted. "Leave now. This is not your concern." But the human kept walking. "I said," he repeated, his voice calm but strong. "Let her go." The people looked at each other, confused, amused. Some began to laugh. Lord Zarek leaned forward, curious. "What is this? A human trying to be a hero?" The girl looked at the stranger. Her eyes, wide. He looked ordinary, not like a soldier, not like a rescuer, but in his eyes she saw something different. Not fear, not pride, but purpose. The guards pointed their plasma spears at him. The human raised his hands. "I'm not here to fight," he said. "I'm here because what you're doing is wrong." "She's a criminal," shouted a voice from the crowd. "She's a child," the human replied. "And even if she made a mistake, burning someone alive, is this your justice?" Lord Zarek smiled coldly. "Kill him." The guards moved, but before they could reach him, the human acted. Fast. His hand struck the first guard's throat. Not enough to kill, but enough to drop him. He twisted and pulled the second guard's arm, flipping him to the ground. The chains holding the girl were still hot, but he didn't hesitate. He kicked the lock, and with one loud crack, it broke. "Can you run?" he asked her. She nodded, stunned. "Then run." Together, they dashed through the crowd. Some tried to grab them. Others stepped aside, too shocked to react. "Stop them," Lord Zarek screamed. "Don't let them escape." Energy blasts lit the air as guards fired, but the human was fast. He ducked, rolled, and pulled the girl through narrow paths between buildings. The fire pit disappeared behind them. The city roared in confusion. Finally, they stopped in an alley. The girl gasped for air. The human watched the street, checking for danger. "Who are you?" she asked. He didn't answer right away. Then he said, "Just someone who hates seeing people get burned." She stared at him. "Why would you risk your life for me?" she asked again. He looked at her, then at the red sky above. "Because I've seen fire before," he said softly. "And I know what it takes from you." Guards ran past the alley, shouting. The human and the girl stayed quiet, hidden in the shadows. Far above, Lord Zarek watched the fire still burning, his smile now gone. "Find him," he said coldly. "I want the human alive." But he already knew. This wasn't just some traveler. This human was trouble. The stars were rising above the desert city. 2 moons lit the sky as the human and the alien girl moved silently through the empty outer lanes. The city behind them was loud. Guards yelling, engines roaring, alarms ringing. But here, in the shadows, it was quiet. They reached the edge of a broken old bridge, half buried in sand. We'll rest here, the human said. The girl sat down slowly, still in shock. Her name was Alira. You're really not from here, are you? She asked. He shook his head. Not even close. Then why did you help me? He didn't answer at first. Instead, he looked out into the stars like he was searching for something only he could see. Because I've seen people stand by and do nothing, he said. I didn't want to be one of them again. Alira looked at him closely. His jacket was torn, his hands were rough, but his eyes, they were tired. Not weak, just heavy, like they carried too many memories. What's your name? She asked. He smiled a little. Does it matter? Yes, you can call me Jace. Far away, inside Lord Zarek's tower, dozens of bounty hunters gathered in a dark hall. Find the human, Zarek ordered. I want his heart and her head. One bounty hunter, taller than the rest with a scar over one eye, stepped forward. What if we bring them alive? Zarek smiled cruelly. Then I'll let you cook them yourself. Back at the old bridge, Jace used pieces of metal and scrap to build a small fire. He handed Alira a small bar of protein food. She took it quietly. They were going to burn me, she whispered. Just like that. I thought someone would stop them. I hoped. No, one stops anything, Jace said. Unless someone decides to. She stared into the fire. They called me a traitor, but I didn't do anything. I know, he said. I saw it in your eyes. How can you be so sure? Because guilty eyes look different. They hide. Yours were full of fear. But not shame. Alira slowly nodded. Then she asked, Have you done things you're ashamed of? Jace didn't answer for a long time. I have, he finally said. Things I wish I could forget. But fire, it doesn't let you forget. It burns more than just your skin. She looked at him again, this time, with something new in her eyes. Not just gratitude, respect. But their peace didn't last. A sound came from the dunes. Slow footsteps, crunching sand. Jace stood up quickly, eyes sharp. He pulled a small blade from his boot. No, gun's just instinct. Stay behind me, he said. 3 bounty hunters appeared, each from a different side. Tall, armored, their eyes glowing red through night visors. Easy, one of them said. We just want the girl, we don't even care who you are, human. Jace didn't move. Step away, the second bounty hunter warned, or we make you bleed. You want her? Jace said quietly. He stepped forward. Then come take her. The fight happened in seconds. Jace threw sand into one's eyes, rolled under a punch, and kicked the third hunter into the fire. Alira watched, stunned. He didn't move like a warrior. He moved like water, fast, quiet, impossible to catch. One hunter pulled a shock rod. Jace grabbed his arm, twisted it, and slammed him down. The last hunter tried to run. Jace caught him with one sharp throw of his blade, hitting the armor joint. Silence returned. Alira blinked. How did you? Jace picked up the blade and wiped the sand off. I used to be someone else, he said, before I became a nobody. They left the fire behind and started walking toward the Badlands, a rocky zone known for creatures and caves. Where are we going now? She asked. Somewhere they won't follow us. Not yet. She looked at him. You saved me. He looked at her, calm and firm. Then save someone else one day, he said. That's how we fix things. From the sky, a drone silently followed, them watching, recording. Far away, Zarek watched the screen and smiled. You want to play hero, human? He said coldly. Then let's turn up the heat. The sun didn't rise. Not in the ashlands. This part of the planet was covered in thick gray dust that floated like smoke and never settled. The ground cracked under every step, and the wind whispered like it remembered screams. Alira coughed as they moved forward. How far do we have to go? She asked. Jace looked ahead, his eyes sharp, scanning everything, until we're not being followed anymore. But they were being followed. Far behind them, the bounty hunters regrouped. The one with the scar, and Commander Thrask, watched a holomap glowing in his hand. "They're heading into the Ashlands," he muttered. "Foolish." "A second?" Hunter asked. "Should we wait?" Thrask smiled. "No, we drive them deeper. And then we finish the job." Back in the Ashlands, Elira stumbled over a rock and almost fell. Jace caught her arm. "Careful," he said. "I'm trying," she replied. "It's just hard to walk when you haven't eaten or slept in days." He gave her a piece of dry ration. "We stop at the canyon edge. There's a cave." "How do you know this place so well?" she asked. Jace hesitated. "Because I've been hunted before too." They reached the cave just as a storm began. Black dust swirled outside like a living wall. Inside it was cold and quiet. Elira sat down near the rock wall. Jace stood near the entrance watching the storm. She finally broke the silence. "You're not just some traveler, are you?" He turned, slightly. "No." "You were military?" He nodded. "Special forces?" "Something like that." "What happened?" Jace stared into the dust. "We were told to save a colony. But the command lied. They sent us into a trap. For profit." "And you survived?" "Yes, but the others didn't." Elira's eyes softened. "So that's why you hate people like Zarek, the ones who use power to break others." Jace nodded. "He won't stop, you know," she said. "Not until we're dead." He looked at her. "Then we don't let him catch us." Outside the cave, something crawled in the ash. Long, thin, silent. A desert creature. Sharp limbs. No eyes. It hunted sound. Inside the cave, Elira's foot tapped against a stone. Click. The creature heard. It moved faster. Jace turned his head. "Quickly. Elira, don't move." "Why?" He drew a small knife from his boot again. "We're not alone." The creature burst through the dust like a shadow with claws. Elira screamed and fell back. Jace jumped between her and the beast. Its mouth opened, not teeth but barbed tendrils. It hissed, then struck. Jace rolled under the attack and slashed its leg. Elira grabbed a broken rock and threw it. It hit the creature's back, barely a scratch but enough to turn its head. Jace used that moment. He jumped onto its back, stabbed the soft skin between its spine and twisted. The creature screeched, stumbled, and crashed into the cave wall. It stopped, moving. The silence returned. Jace breathed hard. Blood, not red but glowing green, covered his jacket. Elira rushed over. "Are you okay?" "Fine." She helped him sit down. They both stared at the body. "What was that?" she asked. "An ash crawler. Hunt's movement. Hasn't been seen in years. Lucky us." Jace smiled weakly. "You threw that rock well," he said. "First time saving anyone," she replied. Then softly she added, "Thanks for saving me again." He looked at her. "You're worth saving." Outside the cave, Thrask watched the storm from a ridge. He held a small drone in his hand. Live footage from the cave glowing on the screen. He saw Jace, saw Elira, saw the bond forming. "This human's dangerous," he said. "Not because of strength," another hunter replied. "No," Thrask growled, "because he gives hope." He crushed the drone in his hand. "Next time, we don't follow. We trap." The fire inside the cave burned low. Jace and Elira sat quietly. The silence wasn't cold anymore. It was heavy, like the air itself was waiting for something to be said. Outside, the ash storm still screamed. But inside, only two stories were about to be told. Elira looked down at her hands. "You know they called me a traitor," she said softly. "Yes. But they weren't lying." Jace didn't speak. He waited. She continued, voice shaking. "I didn't poison my uncle, but I did something else. Something just as dangerous." Her eyes glowed faintly in the dark. "I stole a key. Not just any key. A royal code crystal. It controls access to our star archive. Every secret of my family's bloodline. Every military blueprint. Everything. Why? Jace asked calmly. Because I found out the truth. Lord Zarek isn't my uncle by blood. He killed my parents. He took the throne by force and erased the records. Only the code crystal could prove it. Jace leaned forward. And do you still have it? She pulled out a small glowing shard from under her shirt. Deep blue, like a frozen flame. This is why they want me dead. Not because I'm dangerous, but because I remember. Jace looked at the crystal for a long time. Then he nodded. You were right to take it, he said. Even if it started a war. Wars start when people are silent, not when they speak. She looked at him carefully. You believe me? Yes. Elira let out a slow breath like she'd been holding it for days. Your turn, she said. You told me parts, but not all. Who are you, Jace? He looked away. The flames reflected in his eyes. I was part of a human deep core unit. Secret missions, no medals, just orders. What happened? We were sent to a mining colony. The company wanted to scare the workers into obedience. They said there was a rebel threat. He paused. There wasn't. Elira's face tightened. They told us to burn a settlement, show power, scare them into silence. Did you do it? No. I refused. They sent others. I tried to stop them. I failed. His voice broke for the first time. The fire took everything. Families, children, all gone. And all because someone in power wanted to stay rich. He rubbed his hands together, remembering the heat, the screams. After that, I disappeared, left the force, stopped talking, stopped saving, until I saw you and remembered why I once picked up a weapon. Elira didn't say anything. She just reached out and gently touched his hand. It was small, but it meant something. At that exact moment, something beeped deep in Jace's jacket. A tracker light. Red. His face turned. Cold, they're close. Elira stood up quickly. How? Jace pulled out the broken drone piece from his bag. I kept it to study, didn't know it was still live. He crushed it. Outside, the storm was clearing, but the real danger was coming. On the other side of the ridge, Commander Thrask and his hunter stood ready. Thrask loaded his plasma spear. They'll head toward the canyon. That's the only path left. Trap it, Thrask grinned. No. We collapse it. Jace and Elira reached the top of a cliff as the sun finally broke through the ash. Below was the canyon. Wide, deep, and full of shadows. This way, Jace said. But Elira hesitated. What if we don't make it? He looked at her. Then, we go down fighting. Not running. She smiled faintly. You talk like a hero. I'm not. But just as they stepped forward, a huge blast rocked the earth. The cliff beneath them cracked. The canyon edge collapsed. Elira screamed as the ground gave way. Jace grabbed her hand and held tight, but the dust swallowed them both. They fell together, into the dark. The fall felt like forever. Dust and rock swirled around Jace and Elira as they dropped into the heart of the canyon. Time slowed. Air vanished. Sound turned to silence. Then, impact. Jace hit the rocky slope first, rolled hard, then slammed into a stone wall. Pain exploded in his chest. Everything went black for a second. When he opened his eyes, he gasped for breath. Elira? No answer. He crawled forward, coughing, ignoring the pain. A few meters ahead, he found her. She lay still, face scratched, arm bleeding, but breathing. Hey, he whispered. Stay with me. Her eyes fluttered open. Jace? Yeah, it's me. We fell. Yeah, but we're alive. He helped her sit up, gently wrapping a torn cloth around her arm. They both looked up at the broken cliff above. It was too high to climb, too smooth, and the rocks below had sealed the entrance. They were trapped. We'll find another way, Jace said. Elira nodded slowly. We have to. They'll come after us. Jace scanned the canyon floor. Strange stone carvings were etched into the walls. Old, alien, ancient. This isn't just a canyon, he muttered. This is something else. As they moved deeper, the air grew colder. There were no stars above, just dust and shadow, and then the ground moved at first just a tremble, then a long, slow rumble. Jace froze. What was that? Elira looked around. Earthquake? Jace shook his head. No, something's alive down here. Beneath them, deep in the sand, something massive stirred. It had slept for centuries, forgotten by the world above. A guardian once, then a prisoner, now a beast, shaped by time and pain. It smelled the human, and the blood of royal bloodline, and it remembered. Its claws twitched, its eyes opened in the dark. Jace and Elira entered a large chamber, open, round, filled with old bones and broken statues. Symbols of fire and war glowed faintly on the walls. This place? Elira whispered. I've seen drawings of it, in the star archives. This was a holy chamber. Centuries ago. What happened to it? They say something. Was buried here, something too strong to kill. Suddenly, the wall across the room split open. Sand exploded into the air and it came out. A creature larger than a tank. Black armor plates, 6 legs, its face half organic, half metal, with burning yellow eyes. Its mouth was a spiral of teeth. Run! Jace shouted. They sprinted as the beast roared and crashed after them, each step shaking the ground like thunder. Jace pulled Elira behind a fallen pillar. The beast sniffed the air. Its head turned slowly, toward them. Jace looked at her. You still have the code crystal? Yes. Then you're the reason it's awake. That thing was built to protect the royal vaults. You triggered it. Elira's hands shook. Then how do we stop it? Jace gritted his teeth. Maybe. We don't. He stepped out from behind the rock. Hey! Ugly! The beast turned its full body toward him. You want to fight? Come and get me! He ran left, away from Elira, drawing the creature's full attention. It charged. Elira shouted, Jace, no! But he didn't stop. He ran straight toward the broken wall behind the beast. At the last second, he jumped, kicked off a boulder, and landed on the beast's back. He grabbed a loose cable sticking from its spine and pulled. The beast screamed and threw him across the chamber. Jace slammed into the stone again, barely conscious. Blood spilled from his mouth. The beast turned toward him again, ready to finish him. But Elira stepped forward. She held up the glowing code crystal. Stop! She shouted. I am the blood of the first line. I command you. Beast hesitated. It twitched, glitched, shook, then dropped to its knees. The room fell quiet. Elira rushed to Jace. He was still breathing, but barely. Don't you dare die on me, she whispered. You saved me again. You always do. He smiled weakly. That's kinda my thing. Then he passed out. Far above, Thrask watched the canyon from a drone. He saw the creature. He saw Elira holding the crystal, and he saw the human lying. Broken, but alive. Thrask frowned. They made it, he said. The hunter next to him asked, What now? Thrask's eyes narrowed. We bury them again. This time. For good. Jace was still. His chest rose slowly. Breath shaky. Wounds deep. Elira sat beside him in the shadows of the canyon vault. The crystal still glowed in her hand, warm and alive, like it recognized her now. The guardian beast stood beside them. Silent watching, she whispered to Jace. You said not to run. You said fight. She looked up at the broken sky far above the canyon. Then let's fight. Above the canyon, Thrask stood with explosives ready. The plan was simple. Collapse the last bridge, bury the vault, and erase the threat. His team placed charges at the cliff's edge. The king wants it sealed. Forever, Thrask said. But just as he pressed the detonator, nothing happened. A voice echoed behind him. You should check your wires. He spun around. A small group of masked rebels stood with weapons drawn. Leading them was a Zarnok female with armor painted in silver. You're not the only ones watching, she said. Long live the bloodline. Deep in the canyon, Jace stirred. His eyes opened. Pain hit first. Then the memory. The beast. The fall. Elira. You're awake, she said softly, tears in her eyes. He tried to sit up. You look terrible, she added. Feel worse, he replied. She smiled, holding his hand. We have one shot. We use the vault. We show the galaxy what your uncle did, what he hid. Jace nodded weakly. Then let's burn the truth. The vault opened. The guardian beast stepped aside as Elira placed the crystal in the center stone. Lights burst from the ground. Holograms appeared. Images, documents, video logs, truths, Zarek's crimes. How he betrayed the royal family. How he paid hunters to fake threats. How he controlled media and memory. Jace uploaded it all to the sky. A direct transmission to every city, every world once ruled by the royals. And then, they walked out of the canyon together. The next day, the capital burned. Crowds gathered in front of Zarek's tower. Screens played the evidence. No one could deny it anymore. Zarek stood inside his throne room, watching the chaos. His voice trembled. This is lies. They forged it. But the people had seen too much. They marched. And, behind them, came the rebels. Elira walked through the palace gates without fear. Beside her, Jace limped, wrapped in bandages but alive. Thrask was gone, disappeared after his defeat. The guards dropped their weapons as the people cleared a path. Elira reached the throne. Zarek stood at the top, sweating, shaking. You were dead, he whispered. You should have made sure, she said. Zarek tried to run. Jace stepped forward, punched him once, clean and hard. The false king dropped like a stone. The room erupted in cheers. But Elira didn't smile. She just looked out at the people. This throne was never meant for fear, she said. Only for service. Today it belongs to all of us. Later that night, as flames cooled and stars filled the sky, Jace sat alone on the palace balcony. Elira found him there. You're leaving, aren't you? He looked at her. I'm not meant to wear crowns or stay in palaces. But you belong somewhere. He pointed to the stars. Maybe out there. Somewhere quiet. Somewhere that doesn't burn. She took his hand. I'll miss you. He smiled. You saved me too, you know. She leaned close, whispered. I'm not saying goodbye. Then don't, he said softly. 3 suns rose over the city of Zarnath. The fire had stopped. The people had chosen. And the old flag, once a symbol of fear, now burned quietly in the town square. Elira stood on the palace steps in a simple robe. No crown, no jewels. Only a quiet strength in her eyes. The people cheered when they saw her, but her eyes kept looking toward the horizon, where one ship stood ready to leave. Inside the docking bay, Jace checked his bag. No medals, no glory. Just a few supplies, a sharp blade, and silence. He looked at the small pendant Elira had left for him, a crystal fragment tied to a thin wire. When he held it, it felt warm, like someone still believed in him. He heard soft footsteps behind him. I knew you wouldn't say goodbye, Elira said. Jace turned, smiled. I didn't think you'd let me. I'm not your queen, she said. You never were. They both laughed softly, then silence again, the kind that carries everything unsaid. You don't have to go, Elira said, looking at him. You don't need saving anymore, Jace replied. Maybe not, but maybe. I still need you. He looked at her gently. I'm not a hero, Elira. I'm just someone who didn't walk away. Exactly, she whispered. That's why you matter. She stepped forward and wrapped her arms around him. A slow, real hug, one that said thank you and I'll never forget you. He held her back, his voice low. If you ever need me again, don't call. What? Just whisper, he said, smiling. I'll hear it. The ship's engines roared to life. Elira stood on the balcony as Jace's ship rose into the sky. No banners waved, no music played. Just one girl watching a man vanish into the stars, knowing she'd never meet another like him. And far beyond the city, in the quiet parts of space, people would begin to hear a new story about a man with no name, who fought with bare hands, who saved a royal bloodline and never asked for anything in return. Some called him a mercenary, some a myth. But the ones who met him called him friend, and deep in the desert, buried, beneath the ashlands, the old guardian beast slept again, guarding a new crystal, one that whispered, "Not all fires destroy. Some reveal the truth."